But I think the key thing is in working in these kinds of situations, and the one example I was going to mention is more in India that we've been involved in. Multinationals like Dow bring a lot to the table. We can bring capital, direct investment, joint ventures. You mentioned joint ventures. They're very important for us, but I think the key thing is learning. And when multinationals really start working into countries that they don't have experience in, it's very important to hire locally and to really understand the culture so that one company can do business there. But also companies need to experiment with local partners and gain business experience so that they can have the confidence to work in new business models. And so the one example I was going to mention is a firm called Water Health International, which Dow is 30% owner of. We partnered with Water Health, and they've now installed in a pretty unique business model 300 clean water systems in India. 2 million people are getting clean water in India because of this company. And we've been a key part in funding the company, but also providing expertise, loan guarantees, as well as community development. Part of their model is helping build jobs in the local community that self-sustain the water system. And it's these kinds of efforts that I believe help a company like Dow or other multinationals gain the experience they need to have confidence to extend all the other benefits of their participation. And then also they can reap the growth. And clearly, these parts of the world we're talking about today are the growth engine for the future.
Are you implying in what you're giving as a case that Dow needs to partner with entrepreneurial companies?
Absolutely. And there are hundreds and hundreds of examples where we're partnering very directly, investing, being part of research early on, or coming in later. But the ideas that are being generated out there, the brain power, your presentation earlier, the innovations that are happening out there in every corner of the world are unbelievable. But to scale those up, you need companies like Dow that know how to build up a market, build plants if they're involved, help advance a new business model. So there's this is a ripe climate for partnerships of all sorts, joint ventures, investments, or direct investments.
Chido, would you work with Dow to make packaging for your mushrooms on the market? Have you ever heard of Dow before?
No, actually.
Are you not in Zimbabwe?
I am in Zimbabwe.
Yeah, we probably sell product in Zimbabwe, but don't produce on the ground there.
Okay.
So maybe that's why I don't know about you. But yes, I would be happy to work with you.
Well, thank you very much.
You know, I think that going from the macro picture of Africa, India, we have different cases. Maybe we have to come to Schneider Electric and Eric Léger. You know, what about all of this in a Korean context? I mean, one of the big questions people from the outside always have is that in Korea you got to work with the big guys. If you're not with the Samsungs and the LGs, you're out of the game. Is there really no space for more entrepreneurial, more out of the country initiatives? What is your view on that?
It's true that the giants in Korea, the Samsung, the LG, are obviously dominant in every part of the economy. Although there's a growing trend in Korea where smaller entrepreneurs are actually investing a lot in green economies. We have a program in Schneider we call BBOP, Business Innovation People, for the base of the pyramid. Obviously, for a country which is not exactly an emerging country like Korea, we don't have so much activities in here. But obviously, in the same spirit of bebop that we do in India or in China or another part of the world, we would here do technology transfers. We would do training and for young people here in Korea as well that are from the lower level of the pyramid. We would here do electric professions training and develop those people this way.
You've mentioned that you have these initiatives, but your clients in Korea, are that the big guys or the small guys? If you look at your sales figures these days, who are you serving?
Mostly, actually, this is the largest companies of Korea.
The Samsungs and the LGs and, yeah. Okay. And do you think that your growth is there as well? You will grow with them, or you are creating your own captive markets as well?
The specific about Korea is that it's still a very protected market in some ways, and foreign company like Schneider Electric are usually cornered in some very specific niche markets more than the core market. So for us, we look into every means actually to bring new technologies and bring our own innovations to all the rest of the company, but it's still very closed market.
Are you prepared to take innovations from Korea into France and Europe?
For now, the company has not seen it as an opportunity, but why not?
Okay, great. Well, you know, I've let Mrs. Changhua Wu as the last one, but not the least one. I thought you first as a woman, you heard another woman speak. You have a bigger picture on the climate change. You have both the good news and the bad news. And I think it would be wonderful to have first briefly your reflection on what you heard in these contributions from those 5 persons. What do you sense? This is not about China, this is not about us, or do you say, yes, this is for us?
No, I think I learned a lot. Starting with your presentation, I was sitting there actually thinking, you know, particularly me is now based in China, working closely in the field with the business leaders and the local government leaders trying to figure out this low carbon development, you know, the pathway or development path actually for China. You know, I see a lot of innovations in China, which is very, very encouraging. But of course, countries are different in a way that the context, the system, everything we do, you know, share, you know, bear the differences there. What you said actually, which strikes me, is that, you know, this is not just niches. We need to mainstream them. And I look at the issues I deal with, the climate change, low carbon economy, exactly the same way, even though actually the climate group is an NGO. But the way we look at ourselves, we see ourselves, is not really a traditional NGO anymore, because the things we are now dealing with, we're focusing on, are mainstreamed things. So rather than behaving like a traditional NGO, saying, you know, we're on the sideline, stuff like that, we're pretty much, you know, the strategy, everything we do, the way we think about things, the way we do things, exactly like we mainstream ourselves. We do our best actually in China at this moment. So that's a very interesting point. I definitely would like to learn more from you, particularly those kind of interesting ideas there. I think I need to bring back to China to share with more entrepreneurs as soon as possible. Listening to other you know, fellow panelists here, it's very exciting to see actually innovation is pretty much, you know, in the core of everything you do, particularly today in this 21st century. Rather than stick to whatever traditional business you have or technologies you have, the market out there today, because the general context looking into the climate change issues, we cannot stay where we have been or what we were actually yesterday. We have to look into the future. Now, pretty much, I think everybody understands the vision, the future you or we all would like to live in. And then actually now, today is the time to take steps, efforts to build up actually towards that kind of vision or future we want to have today. And the innovation, you can tell clearly in there.